Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. On behalf of Legal Aid Committee of Maharashtra National Law University, Nagpur, I, Mohak, along with Satyam, welcome you for joining us on this podcast. This,
Thank you so much.
this, thank you, sir. So this podcast is focused on social activism around forest rights. Now over to Satyam.
Pravin sir is a researcher on legislative research, environmental economics, forest governance, climate change and migration. He is a public policy practitioner from last 30 years. He is working on several projects on community forest governance and mining effect on resources. He has published several articles and research papers. His papers on villages under ecological debt and recognized internationally. He is member on various committees of governments and universities. He currently heads as a director of Foundation for Research on Socio-Economic Development. Sir.
Thank you so much, Satyam.
Introduction and all that, how we work
Yes,
like
sir.
that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. So please tell us more about your organization and yourself.
I'm working on these issues from last 30 years on this, especially on tribal laws like fifth schedule and visa, destination to scheduled areas, land acquisition, mining laws, and then environmental laws. And the third, the latest one was the Forest Rights Act. So where we actually there are a lot of communities who don't have access to this, that you can frame it like access to justice. There are access to rights are also there. Okay, तरफ से भी हमको demand आता है. There are demands from the communities also. We have set up like earlier. You might be knowing a judgment called Samta versus State of Andhra Pradesh, where I was there, the part of that. So where tribal rights were denied at one time, and then government said that later the Supreme Court said that tribal has rights in fifth scheduled areas and fifth schedule as per the constitution. तो उसमें फिर सरकार ने कहा कि आदिवासी जो है उसमें सरकार का भी इंटरवेंशन अगर होगा तो वो भी गैर आदिवासी नॉन ट्राइबल्स में लैंड वाज एक्वायर्ड बाय द प्राइवेट कंपनी. So where you can see that the communities required lot of legal aid, and I'm happy to be a part of this MNLU Nagpur, which I was thinking to come and see all this university from last like 1 or 2 years back. But thanks to Sir Jagdish sir. Uh, so where we started our actually, there are 2 3 things are there. One is practicing lawyer as advocate. Second is legal research, and third is part is like advocating something in the policy framework and law rules, acts. So where you can see that there are 2 parts we do in as per, like we break up into a protocol of how this act should be used. So we have developed such kind of term protocols, like like algorithm is there in the in IT sector. Such kind of algorithm is required for the law also. So where we have created such facility for 2 laws, Land Acquisition Act 1 and second is Forest Rights Act. So in which we have developed use this law, how to use this as applications, where in a several part you can see that part is where from how one community can apply for a forest rights as a right, for a title. So how to claim that that individual forest rights and community forest rights. Such things are also there with the land acquisition, where people comes to know when it is Section 4 is actually applied in on that process. So people comes to us that how this land acquisition act should be understood by the communities. So we have started these two facilities in our this foundation from last 2 years, where we have almost 80 communities have Gram Sabha have came to us to understand this process of implementation of forest rights. So that process has been started there, and we have initiated this. Yeah.
Sir, what inspired you to focus on legal aid for forest rights?
Yeah, see, there was a struggle. There, like if you go to historically, There was no Forest Act as such earlier, before when there was a Mughal period. Then Britishers came, Britishers brought this act in 1864, where the land was acquired to two things. One was for timber plantation, and second was for cotton. There was there was huge protest and struggle in at that time by the local communities. If you can visit to Queen's National Park, there is a Turia Gate where a lot of jungle forest satyagraha was happened. You all people should go and see that. And second was in Akola, where you can see this rights was taken over by without any notices. So that land has been transferred, and still we are actually the land has been converted into cotton fields, and then land was converted into plantation. If you go to and see to Wardha, Yotmal, and Amravati, that side. So where you can see there are a lot of struggle from the for tribal communities and other forest dwellers. And then after Britishers 1921 Indian Forest Act came, then there was a part called 1980 Conservation Act, and then 1972 Wildlife Act, where you can see that lot of tribal and other forest dweller communities were not knowing anything about this. So there was a huge struggle in 2002 against the Supreme Court eviction order. That's why that Forest Rights Act, actually its complete name, other forest dwellers recognition of rights, 2006. So that recognition of rights has been already rights were there, but recognition. But still, if you see 2006, 2008 rules came and 2012 guidelines came, still implementation of Forest Rights Act is a bigger issue. So still it has not been settlement of rights has not been done of communities. So that's why it got us from that spirit which got us idea that we should help and support these communities in implementing it. Yeah.
So as we are talking about forest rights, can you please give us some insight on what are forest rights and why are they required?
Yes. If you see, Central India is one of the best legal documents of land has been done. One was in the Mughal period, and then part was in the British period. If you can see that there were the Nistar rights, and in the Mughal period it was Wazibul Arz, where people were having grazing rights, how to keep their livestock. Then, if there is a death of any animal, how to keep it on that, like what you say, a kabristan kind of. So, and then water rights were there. So all thing has been documented in the Nistar rights. There was an act, and in 1951, if you see, then you can see these all documents are there with us. It will be good that some of you can actually access this and you can see this. It's a historical document. That's why there was already the rights were there, but it was not recognized. As soon as the Britishers came, like I just mentioned 1864 Forest Act, and then 1980, 1972, these all lands were there. The rights were not recognized from the government side. That's why there was the struggle. And if you see this, there should be a grazing rights, then collection of forest produce, because most of the tribals and other forest dwellers who are dependent on communities. I just want to mention that in all over India, there are 1,24,000 villages which are near forest. That's a fringe forest we say. And then in Maharashtra again, itself has more than 12,000 villages. So in West Vidarbha itself has more than 6 to 7,000 villages which are having a rights, but which was denied. And then after the long struggle, if you can say, there is individual also forest rights under the act, and then another is community forest rights act. Community forest rights is for livelihood for the whole community, whole Gram Sabha, or as a whole village unit. And the another part is, individual forest rights is given for the cultivating the land for a food purpose, like agriculture lands. So that two rights are given in the Forest Rights Act.
Sir, how do you engage with local communities to raise awareness about their rights?
Yeah. See that our first, what you say, our first step is that how much forest land is there with the Gram Sabha or that with that village. We just see the census data, and you can see in your legal, legislative, and legal research also. We should start from census. So how to read census is another part that we should understand. That's another good evidence. One second. sorry. So if you see that, we just see that how much forest is there with the community. Then we ask community that, how do you know about that? How much forest land is with you? So then community says we don't know. So then we tell them that there is a two part. That is, one is Vista rights, and there is a census given. As per the census, there is a forest land with you. So that after that there is a process that Gram Sabha has to uh, what we say select a committee as a Forest Rights Act committee as per the law. Then that committee will inform to the SDM, Subdivisional Magistrate Committee, and then to the District Level Committee, to tell them that, saying that we have a Forest Right Committee and we are going to start the process to file the claim. So where we have to give a letter to the SDM and to the collector saying that we need evidences because we don't have any evidence with us. As a community, as a Gram Sabha or a Gram Panchayat, they don't have any evidences. So we just collect the evidences and then we fill the form, claim form, and then we have a proper Gram Sabha resolution to it. And then Gram Sabha resolution, after that, filing the claim with the proper evidences and with the proper verification. Because as per the Act, the Gram Sabha, the village committee itself is a tribunal. So there are three tribunals in it. So itself a revenue tribunal will be the Gram Sabha or village. So they can form the claim and then they can apply to the SDM. So this whole process, we just help them and assist them. Take that.
Sir, sir, what is the role of Gram Sabha इसमें?
Gram Sabha is actually, there are two things. Again, a big confusion with the administration also. See, if you see Panchayat is an executive body. Gram Panchayat itself is the executive body where we bring power in Sarpanch and ward members. Gram Sabha is a larger body like Vidhan Sabha and Lok Sabha. So the Gram Sabha can actually have a larger body where this Panchayat is a secretariat. So that's why the Gram Sabha, as per the Act, this is the first Act in place, with a historical place, that Gram Sabha has been recognized as an institution as per the Constitution. So that's why Gram Sabha plays a bigger role, and as per the Act, it has been termed it as a tribunal to look after the revenue and forest lands. That's why Gram Sabha plays a major role in it.
So as to forest rights, so on how are is your experience, and what do you think how the tribal people and other communities are aware of their rights, and how do you reach them if they are not?
Yeah, as present condition, they are aware of most of the Gram Sabhas are aware, and they know they how to do it. But where most of the places where Gram Sabhas are not, then what we are doing is we are selecting lot of community resource persons. So we are actually informing that wherever you see that the villages are not aware of this and they have a forest, so we are actually telling them to go and meet them, have a discussion with them, give the copy of a law what we have, and then we actually tell them that this law you have to understand. So we help these 2-3 volunteers or to the youth, saying that please come to our training. We are holding trainings also for that, like for a forest right side. So we inform them, we invite them for our trainings, and then we have these copies to them. After that, reading or learning or understanding that act, then they are actually uh, says that we are ready to take up, because it's actually we have to build capacity of a Gram Sabha. If you can see that what you people also do the same thing with the legal aid, we have to actually develop that capacity of the whole communities as they are tribunal to it. So we help them and assist them to take over this kind of a process. Yeah.
Sir, how can individuals and organizations support to the work and contribute to the cause?
Yes, there are. We require a lot of chartered accountants. We require a lot of lawyers. We require a lot of researchers. Like I can term it and one thing. This is the first time in history that the forest has been the right to exercise. like what we say, that somebody has to exercise the rights. So this is the first time that the tribal community is going to exercise the rights over that forest access. So where, there will be the big thing, requirement in coming days, that forest department will not be involved in that forest land now. It's a huge forest land which has been directly given to the communities. So we have to start this another community forest research institute now in coming days. Then only we can help them in scientific, to raise the forest, plantations, then the local bodies, soil conservations. So to assist that, we require a lot of legislative research. We require a lot of assistance to them. There are several acts to support to Panchayat Raj. If you say your Panchayat Raj Act is there, PESA Act is there, land acquisition is there, water bodies, water acts are also implemented. So we require a lot of small to develop a small manual, small training materials. We require a huge number of people for all this. So we require a lot of interns from your side. So I also request you all people to please help us in getting more interns to work ahead again and to take stronger our work in field.
Yes, sir, indeed. So, as you mentioned about this forest, right? What, in your experience, what are the common problems which people face regarding their forest rights?
There are two, three things are there. Most of them they are not aware of what are their rights. One. Second thing, when they go and exercise their rights, forest departments will come saying that, oh, this is not your land. Don't come here. Don't go there. So forest rights gives you the access, that a complete autonomy to access that land. And then when there is like suppose some shepherd is going in the forest. So forest, uh, uh, you know, file a, file a, file a, the case against him. But this Forest Rights Act, when he is aware of this, he has a license, he has a proper rights over to graze that land. The grazing is another part. So until and unless when you don't tell them saying that these are your rights, so then only they can actually complete their process of exercising our rights. There are two things, like if already you have the rights, but until and unless you don't know about it, you cannot exercise your rights. So these three parts we have to make community aware of that this exercising of the rights also is more important than that. So we need more people to tell, saying that the communities that, please go ahead with that. This is your rights. And this, most of the communities don't have this Forest Rights Act with them, that copy of the law. That's a beginning.
What changes would you like to see in the legal framework regarding the forest rights? Like in
See,
frameworks, rights?
in framework, if you see, its implementation is a major issue, where institutions has to go and help them. The institutions like, collector office, SDM office, and the local, the panchayats officials, like revenue officials, forest officials, and panchayat raj officials. They should consider this as actually the right we should have to, if tribal department could have trained these all people as as per the act, they are the nodal agency. But institution is not taking their what you say, onus on it, and they are the actually a nodal agency to take ahead. So it's an हमारा कोई काम नहीं है उनको सब बताने का, हमारा कोई काम नहीं है हमारा लीगल एड चलाने का. It's actually with the government institution should be, empowering them. We are nowhere. We should not be a broker with them.
तो आपने कहा कि इंस्टीट्यूशंस को मतलब इंस्टीट्यूशंस ने भी अपना फेयर शेयर परफॉर्मेंस करना चाहिए तो जैसे ट्राइबल कम्युनिटीज है जो ये राइट्स के बारे में अवेयर नहीं होती है उन तक आपको कैसे लगता है मतलब इंस्टीट्यूशन से वो डरते हैं जाने से तो आप जो लीगल एक्टिविज्म करते हैं उसमें आप खुद से अप्रोच करते हैं या फिर मोस्टली लोग आपके पास आते हैं ऐसे कॉमन सिनेरियो में क्या होता है यूजुअली
नहीं, हम दो प्रोएक्टिवली काम है, दो साइड है. One is we approach, and second part is that when they come to know about us, about our work, so 50% that approach is also there from the community. And it is, we have to start this, may I help you, this kind of. So that's why most of the people are coming to us when they came to know that we are working on it. It's actually a very much needed. Another thing is, most of the conflict areas are there where, nobody is there to help you. So I just want to mention here that it is like, talk to me stupid, and nobody is there to talk to them. So that kind of ideas have to actually we have to calculate that how we have to go. Nobody is there. This is actually no man's land kind of. So if you feel that there is huge work which has to be, like most of the criminal cases are also like that. So we don't have lawyers more to help them to assist them. So same, that's why I'm mentioning here that nobody is there. Talk to me stupid kind of. So such kind of a small institutions we have to there. But I must actually acknowledge government that there are lot of legal aid support is there at the court level, not at the institutional level. If you go to the any department like tribal department or revenue department or uh, this Tahsildar office, nobody there. I have not seen any may I help you desk there. We need lot of may I help you desk in revenue departments and forest departments and tribal departments. So such kind of ideas will help communities to grow more and nurture there. That is the idea.
Sir, what measurable impacts have you observed in communities after they successfully claimed their lands and
Yes,
rights?
yes, this is actually a very, very major question. Actually, like very important. This is actually if you visit you can learn and understand in Australia. There is one concept going on that is called a taking back economy. When you have rights, when you are exercising your rights, there is an idea called taking back economy. As you know, as you can see, I can mention several names of Gram Sabhas. When they have got the rights, they are actually able to sell the minor forest produce. That is tendu leaves for bidi and bamboo, and then medicinal plants, medicinal herbs and shrubs and all that. So there I can tell you that there are 3-4 Gramsas who have done the business of more than 4 crores, 3 crores. I will mention one village called small village, 21 households are there in Puser village in Chamurchi block in Gadchuli district. They exercise their rights. They got almost like 100 and 200 acres of land, 200 acres of forest. So in that forest land, they are actually uh, uh, collectivism of taking back economy, and they have done it very well at that moment. But there are challenges too. Two challenges I should mention here. Uh, can I? Is it
Yes,
audible?
yes, sir, it's
Yes.
audible.
There are two challenges. One is climate change, where extreme events have actually. This is like harvest, like how agriculture. The climate change is another challenge, and another challenge is with the upcoming loss. So I'll just stop it here, as there are two challenges for this taking back economy approach. Livelihoods has to be conserved, livelihood has to be restored, livelihoods has to be encouraged more.
As we know that the tribal communities have faced disadvantages from the beginning, and forest rights are very close to them. What shifts have you observed from the earlier time and now after this Forest Rights Act came into force?
They were not having any rights to it. They were having earlier right. When Britishers were there at that time, there was a privilege rights were there for something. So nowadays, some Gram Sabhas are actually had a fishing rights in the minor water bodies in near the forest areas. So earlier there was complete ban on the forest rights, where whatever has been given to them or was there recognized. This is the first time that after this history, and the Forest Rights Act first preamble itself has mentioned that there was a historical injustice was done to them. This historical injustice has been mentioned here in this act. This is the first act which has recognizing the rights over territorial areas, the traditional rights and traditional practices. This actually has brought a lot of change in the community.
Sir, can you share a success story where your legal aid made a significant difference for a community?
This is that I mentioned one village called Puser
Yes, sir.
in block Chamorshi and in district Gadchuli. So they are actually now has taken over the economy in their hands, and they are taking this progress ahead with implementation of a lot of support to the Gram Sabha members, and they are actually they are giving work for 500 laborers of around 3-4 villages during the this bamboo cutting season. So that is one of the successful which we can say. And but there are issues are there. We have to help them and assist them because they are not knowing how this economy. Then market is another volatile situation. There are the challenges for them, but they will learn as error is there. Let us have some kind of trial balance and error should be there. Check and mate should be there. So they will be learning that this.
So I was saying that you also work on cases related to land acquisition. Can you please share us what is land acquisition and how does it work and how it affects the communities, basically?
See, actually, there are 2-3 process. When that first notice comes to them, they are not aware of because most of the notice goes to the Gram Panchayat and all that. So the public hearing is there on the environmental side, but no public hearing on the land issues. So Section 4, when notice comes to them that this your land will be acquired, when they come to know very late. So we just whenever the community approaches us, we tell them saying that this kind of things are happening. Whatever kind of a compensation do you want, that compensation has to be actually if you know that there are several things are there about the they are not aware about their what kind of titles they have, how much land they have, and records are there in Maharashtra. It is called as Satbara. How much mentioned is there? Then, as per the land acquisition, that if you see that above 18 years and he is married, it should be treated as a separate marriage. And there is not a mutation also has not been done within the community, within the families. So that mutation cases are also there. So we just help them in saying that let us have mutation, and then each family has to be treated differently. And we just help them in understanding Section 4 notices, and then after that, it goes to the tribunal for compensation. So we held them, most of the time people say that we have got less compensation and we want more compensation. At that time, at such issues there, land records are, we help them in how to read, how to understand the land records. That 2-3 processes we help them in that process. Yes.
Sir, how do you ensure that the legal languages are accessible to those who need it the most? Sir, language की दिक्कत आती होगी उन लोगों को legal
यस
languages.
यस मेनी टाइम्स तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं, जैसे मैं आपको एक हमारा हमने क्या किया है, कुछ हमने प्रोटोकॉल बनाया है कि ये सेक्शन के लिए ये चीजें करने पड़ते हैं, ये सेक्शन के लिए ये चीज करना पड़ता है। ऐसे हमने जैसे मैंने पिछले इसमें भी मेंशन किया था कि एक अल्गोरिथम होना चाहिए, क्योंकि लीगल रिसर्च में आपको 2-3 चीज करना चाहिए कि ये कानून है, इसके सामने ये रूल है, और इसको समझने के लिए हमको क्या क्या कागज की रिक्वायरमेंट है। तो ऐसे 3 चीजों को हम लोग जो है पहले उसका, जैसे हमारा कस्टमर केयर सेंटर शुरू करना है, हमारे को कॉल आया तो उस कॉल को हमको क्या जवाब देना चाहिए वो हम हमारे लोगों को तैयार करते हैं। तो उसमें हम लोग एक प्रोटोकॉल डेवलप करते हैं कि सेक्शन 4 मतलब क्या होता है, उसका फोटो क्या होता है, उसके लैंड रिकॉर्ड्स कैसे होते हैं, उसके फोटोग्राफ्स होने चाहिए। तो हम लोग उनको समझाने के लिए उसको छोटे छोटे माइक्रो इश्यूज को लेकर जाके हम उसका टेबल बनाते हैं और उसको सीखते हैं कि सेक्शन 4 में ये होना चाहिए, सेक्शन 5 में ये होना चाहिए। तो हम उसका एग्जाम्पल के साथ और कलर फोटो फोटो के साथ उनको एग्जाम्पल बताते हैं कि ये ऐसा होता है, इसका नोटिस का सैंपल ऐसा होता है और सैंपल का जवाब ऐसा होता है। तो वी शुड हैव प्रॉपर मैनुअल। तो मैनुअल जब तक नहीं रहेगा उसको उसको आप आसानी से काम लेकर नहीं जा सकते। तो वो उसमें भी हम लोग क्या करते हैं कि उस मैनुअल में हम लोग फोटोग्राफ रखते हैं, ये फॉर्म ऐसा होगा, ऐसा सेक्शन होगा, ऐसा नोटिस होगा। तो सारे नोटिसेस हम इकट्ठा करते हैं जो अखबार में से ही आते हैं, जो अखबार में आते हैं, तो हम उनको समझाते हैं कि क्योंकि हमको उनको आप ना सेक्शन 1 सेक्शन 2 ऐसा नहीं बता सकते, उनको आपको प्रॉपर पिक्टोरियल दिखाना पड़ता है, तब जाके मैनुअल करता है। तो वो आइडिया है।
Sir, what are your remarks and what potential developments and changes do you want to see that are really helpful in case of making land acquisition knowledge on land acquisition and forest rights more accessible and available to the tribal communities?
The first step from the institutions, government institutions or whoever it is, should actually pre-prior informed consent, we say. So this is actually a very big term in international levels and all that. So we should actually there should be a transparency within the both acts. So that transparency is that we have to inform them, and the purpose has to be informed. And that objectives and the statement of reason has to be informed. Three, four things is required to tell communities, and communities are not against anything. Communities always want to help the government, or communities also wants to help or support their own economy. So it is not that that community don't want. There always there is a saying that communities don't want, communities against development. No, it is not like that. So communities want, but until and unless if you don't convince them, we have to convince them. So that convince. The first part is to convince, and second part is to make aware of them, and then has to be handled. Most of the communities we don't handle. It's actually a government has to take up the right, what you say, handholding or handshake. So that engagement has to be required, and the partnership is required second most. So that partnership will take care of all this kind of a conflict. And and we have to see that there is a word called confidence building measurements. That confidence building measurements are very less from the institution side. So that's why there is to clear the conflicts, we have to make a lot of confidence building measurements to take this ahead, these two acts and all that.
Sir, any suggestions for us to improve?
We,
For our legal aid committee as well.
so legal aid committee has to, has to do two things. One is research. And as I come from a engineering background, so always before making machines, we make a manuals. So we have to make a lot of manuals for all this. Manuals, protocols, and then if you see that when we make a scheme, the scheme should have a form, application forms. We don't have application forms for that. When I when the government announced the any scheme, and then most of the people like run here and there and everywhere because they don't get any applications. So in a legal aid, we require a lot of applications. So in such that we like I'll go chronological order, like let us have understanding of a law, make it composite 1, 2, 3, 4, what kind of section. Then we have to make a manual and then a protocol. If like I know if I can send to you one protocol of what sex act, you can start implementing from tomorrow. So such kind of protocols we have to develop for each and every act. This is one. Second is research. Research work is we have to understand what kind of evidences, what kind of historical evidences are there and post evidences. And third is while practicing, we have to actually help to assist them. How to reach will be the another issue, that what kind of a reach outreach we have to create. That atmosphere we have to create for the legal aid in communities. And we are very much ready to help you, and for interns also we are open to all it. It's up to I want to a place that we are ready to take it.
Thank you so much, sir. It was great having you on this podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable knowledge with us. On behalf of the entire Legal Aid Committee of Maharashtra National University, Nagpur, I thank you for helping us with this podcast and giving us your precious time. Thank you again.
Yeah, I want to visit this university once.
Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you so much. Yeah.